Hello, Namaste. This is Gil Elhart and Megan DeRose from Breathe Yoga Center in Norfolk, Virginia. We wanted to talk a little bit about teacher trainings and how to be selective and wise with your decision in choosing a teacher training. We wanted to start off by talking about the relevance and importance of yoga today and why it might be valuable to you to do a teacher training. So first and foremost, yoga has come a long way from its roots in India, originating 5,000 to 3,500 years ago. And it's so applicable now as it was when the ancient yogis first started to try to meditate and discover the veils of illusion that were distorting their mind from being happy and free. And in this day and age when life is so turbulent and there's a constant shift and change outside in the world, quite often that's reflected inside, and we just kind of get caught up in that whirling of emotions and mental stress and mental dialogue along with the turbulence that is manifesting on our planet and in the world. So yoga is the steadiness. Yoga is what helps us find our ground and find our root so that we can become centered and more stable and still amongst the constant turbulence and change that is taking place in the world.
And yoga practice really becomes most effective when what we're doing on our yoga mat becomes translatable to our living off of our yoga mat. So everything that we're learning and practice is something that we can then apply to our life, and that's when yoga becomes this lifestyle practice. And teacher training really helps to get yoga to take root in our lives by immersing ourselves in the practice, by learning more about it and seeing how we can utilize what we learn every single day. And that's when it really becomes alive within us, and it becomes something that we have had direct experience of, and it's from that place of direct experience that we are able to share it with others in a way that is authentic, because we are not just talking about something, we have actually experienced it in our lives.
So a couple things that we wanted to discuss in this program today is some of the biggest factors in selecting a teacher training, some of the biggest mistakes that students have made over the years in choosing a teacher training program, and how you can navigate once you're involved in a teacher training program. What attitudes and approach can you take to get the most out of your experience?
And what to look for from a program. What are the things when you're doing due diligence, what should you be looking for in a teacher training program that shows you that it's a quality program, that shows you that it's a program that resonates with you, that you feel like you will get the most out of?
So we'll start with the three biggest mistakes that we often see students make in choosing a teacher training program. And the first one, as Megan just mentioned, is about the due diligence of not really doing that research to discover the lineage of the yoga school that you're studying under, the teacher itself, whether they resonate with you in their ways that they teach yoga, and also in the ways that they interact with students, because there's a very deep relationship that is established between student and teacher, and you want a teacher that's going to be nurturing and caring and understanding of you as an individual in your journey. We are dynamic beings, and we come and go, and we ebb and flow with our energy and our emotions. And so you want a teacher who's walked the path before and understands that about themselves and knows how to navigate that and give you coaching along the way.
And I think one of the, in the years that we have been facilitating teacher training and just knowing students as teachers, often what we have heard people who have chose the teacher training tell us is that one of the reasons why they chose that training was because of the price of the training. It was the cheapest training that they found, or they got some kind of discount on the training, and that's why they chose to do it versus another training that might have been more expensive. And then kind of alongside that is timing. Well, I was able to get this amount of time off, or that training, I was able to kind of work around my current schedule and what I have going on in my life. And it's just not taking into consideration the vast differences that exist amongst teacher trainings and that exist amongst the teachers that are facilitating those trainings. And it's not to say that, some trainings are good and some trainings are bad, some teachers are good and some teachers are bad. It's just to say that all trainings are different, and because yoga has become so popularized in the West and because there are so many trainings to choose from, it's really looking into those trainings to see what the differences are amongst them and making a choice based on the training that you feel resonates the most with you, that speaks to you. Like Gil said, that you feel like you resonate with that teacher and there's somebody that you want to learn from and there's somebody whose lineage you want to carry on once you leave that training. And that might not be the cheapest training, but in the end, when you're done with the training, you're going to probably want to have that experience of you felt like that was valuable, not based on the monetary amount that you spent on it, but based on the experience that you had and the value that it has given to your life and what you feel like from that training you can offer to others, that you have that confidence to offer the teachings to others because you know it so well based on the training that you did.
Yeah. In tying those 2 points together, your research should go much deeper than the price, the cost of the training. You get what you pay for, and yes, timing is very, very important. It has to be able to work in your life, and at the same time, we heard a quote recently that said, when life got in the way of my yoga, I made yoga my life. And so maybe the time is right for you right now because it's what you need. You realize that you're awakening to something deeper within yourself, and the yoga is going to foster that. It's going to help bring that out for you so that you can live the most enriched, fulfilled life possible. So don't let, I'm so busy. Next year, once I get through this, and this, it'll be a better time for me. There may be some relevance and truth to some of those things, but quite often there's never the perfect time for us. So when we feel like we're awakening to it, maybe that's when we should really look to explore it.
And the reality is that life is always happening. So even if we feel like I've carved out the perfect amount of time in my life, I've got all my ducks in a row in order to make this conducive right now, life happens, things happen, stuff shows up, unexpected things transpire that we can't control. And really, to me, being in the midst of a yoga teacher training when life is throwing us things that we didn't expect is one of the most valuable times to be in our training. And often when our life feels the most hectic or busy, or we feel like we're making the most excuses around why this is not the right time, is when it's the perfect time, because it's putting a mirror up that yoga might help to bring more balance to your life, and there's so much enrichment to be had in those busy times when we learn how to find steadiness and peace despite all of that or in the midst of all of that.
Yeah. And then finally, and I touched upon this earlier, is the personal relationship that you have with the teacher. As you take classes, hopefully you have the opportunity to take classes with that teacher and see what is the heart of their teachings. And you'll then you probably will know right away on a feeling sense, on an instinctual level, that I would love to continue this teacher's legacy. This lineage of yoga that they are bringing is enriching my life, is bringing value to me, and I want to share that with others. So that's what you want to feel from a teacher, not just like, oh, well, this teacher training fit in my schedule or it was affordable. Is I really want to share this with others. It's bringing so much joy and happiness to me. It's helping me release the things that are holding me back in life. So meeting the teacher, I think, is very, very valuable if at all possible. In some situations, maybe it's not, in which case you want to do as much research as possible about their teaching. Can you take a class with them online or read some of their blogs? Maybe they have some videos that you can research and get to know them a little bit better. But I always feel like I get the most out of a relationship when it's person to person. So feeling that personal interaction, and that will tell you how they're going to interact with you. as you become the student of this teacher. So you really want to sense that I can relate to this teacher. They understand themselves. They realize that they're not perfect, that they're human, and that they're very willing to share openly about their journey, which will help you navigate your journey as well, both on and off the mat.
One of my very first experience of one of my teachers was in taking a class with her, and didn't have really any other experience except for maybe taking an online class with her before that, but it's so much different in person because you see how that teacher interacts with students. And in this particular case, I saw an interaction that she had with a student that really sparked something in me, that I just knew in that moment, this is my teacher. I have so much to learn from her. I really want to learn from her. And this is just the very beginning, and I can't wait to see what else she has to offer me. And it really was just the beginning of a tremendous amount of learning that really advanced my own experience of life and practice and teaching. So as Gil said, just recommending that direct experience as much as possible.
Yeah. And I think a couple other practical factors that show up too that reflect the quality of the program or the training is your communication with them in terms of like email. So you might express interest in the program, and then you might not hear back for a week or weeks from the teacher or from their assistant. Or maybe the communication is vague, or it seems like they're lacking organization, it's unclear about what books to get or that kind of thing. From my experience, if a program is well run, it's well organized, and it's from the top down, the teacher knows how to communicate effectively to the participants. They know how to communicate perhaps to their assistant, who might be then communicating to the students. So you want to feel like you're not just a number in their mix, that you want to feel like you are seen as an individual, which a big part is being seen in person, but also just in your email communication and expressing interest or going through the application process, that you're getting timely responses, that there's a level of organization that's apparent when you receive the information about the program. And that's also reflected on their website as well.
Yeah, those initial interactions where you observe that organization is going to give you a lot of information about the organization of the program as a whole. Those early signs of disorganization might be red flags to just tell you something about the organization of the program as you're going through it, and you really want that kind of foundation first and foremost.
As yoga teachers, we're most certainly human, and there are sometimes mistakes that happen and mistakes that happen in communication. So don't be too judgmental, of course, but look for those warning signs for sure.
And then just speaking to, so those are some of the mistakes that can often happen in looking for a program. So on the flip side of that, what to look for, what does a quality program have to offer? What are some of the things that you might want to ask about? And one of the first things that we recommend is that asking if the program has a manual. Do they have a comprehensive manual that they give to you? That's something that you work with throughout the training, and also is something that you can go back to once training is done. I have training manuals from all of the trainings that I've done, and I go back to them all the time from 10 years ago or more, to look back on my notes, to just remember something that was said by the teacher, a piece of philosophy that I want to look back on. So it's valuable during the time of the training, but then beyond. And in that manual, you want to, all of us are different learners. You want to have some kind of visual representation of the poses, instruction on how to teach those poses, as well as a visual on the energy system, which is sometimes a little more esoteric, so it's nice to have a visual representation of what that looks like. Again, so that you're learning on all these different levels, and it helps to facilitate that.
Another factor is, does the teacher training program provide you with classes so that you can get an embodied experience? Yoga is an embodied practice. It's not something that we can just purely read about and then go out and teach. We have to navigate and go walk that journey ourselves. And so once we walk that path, we can lead others down it. So having classes where you can embody the postures, the breathing practices, the sense withdrawal, the levels of concentration and meditation that arise when you're well guided, these are the things that you want to experience firsthand. And the teacher training should offer you classes so that you can get the extension of your yoga, not just during the